Looking for a way to understand our history regarding the blood feuds and a few other practices from the Canon. And please remember that blood feuds are a very small part of this. But if that's what you're interested in, then you should definitely read Prili I Thyr by Ismail Kadare. It's also in English, Broken April. It's a rainy day here, so I love to read when it rains, and as you can see, it rains a lot. So I just want to introduce you to Kadare. Kadare is considered one of the greatest writers of our time, internationally and obviously by Albanians too. He's been nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature 15 times. Because he's a genius, but also his writing offers an insightful look into our past, culture, and mentality. And this particular book is hauntingly beautiful, tragic, and so cleverly written as well. The story itself is set in a remote mountainous region in Albania where tradition and honor hold more power than anything. The story is about two men whose lives become entwined due to a blood feud. The main character, George, is trapped in the cycle of revenge, waiting out the 30-day canon, during which he is safe from retaliation, while Besian is an outsider who is drawn to the canon and travels to Albania to study it. I believe this is a very good way of illustrating how it is experienced differently if you just study it, instead of actually having to live through it, which is luckily what most Albanians do today. There's very few that practice the canon and none that practice it completely. The story also follows Diana, Besian's wife. She's horrified by the violence and tragedy of the blood feuds, but Besian becomes more and more fascinated by it. And then the rest of the story, I'll let you read for yourself. I won't give you any spoilers. Kadare's writing here is simple, yet very powerful, and it beautifully captures the harsh beauty of the Albanian landscape. Broken April is also full of symbolism, with the canon obviously serving as a metaphor for the traditions that governed Albanian society. You also have the characters who are complex and well drawn, and he expertly portrays this whole conflict between tradition, which is what ultimately is the only reason we're still alive today, and modern life, which you have to adapt to. And we have done very well as well with that. Throughout the whole book, you're not sure which year you're in, but at some point there is a plane flying over, and the characters of the book do know what a plane is, but they still prefer to walk or ride horses and be at one with nature over driving cars, I'm assuming. This still doesn't fully narrow it down, but it's a very interesting way of showcasing the contrast nonetheless. Throughout the whole book, it's like time has stood still. And considering that Kadare grew up in communist Albania, he would know how to depict that feeling. This is also what he's famous for in all of his great books. If you speak Albanian, I highly recommend reading it in Albanian, obviously. His writing perfectly portrays how beautiful the Albanian language is, and not fluent. It's completely fine to read it in English. I would recommend reading it in English first in that case, and then reading it in Albanian as a way of learning. That's how I got better and better at reading Albanian myself. But it's just a tip. Whatever you do, I hope you read it, and I also hope you read the canon, but I understand if you want to start with something light first.